Yes, everyone, welcome to Full Time Devils. This is a Southampton preview today, joined by James, by Scott, and by Gaz, and we have got lots to talk about, so why don't we just get straight onto it? Why don't we do that? We're going to do that. Solskjaer has won 8 in a row away games, which is never been done before. Considering the managers we've got, I think that's pretty damn special. He's also broke the record for the most number of points in the first 10 games by any manager in a Premier League era with 26. He actually equalled it with 9 games and broke it with the single point that we got against Liverpool last weekend. Is it too soon to give Ollie the job, Gaz, or is it a 30-year contract minimum?
They are some mad stats there. I'm taken aback by some of them. Mate, it's probably the best start that you could have hoped for. The only real concerns came from that one game against PSG. Even the Burnley game, it was the best possible way that we could have drew, the way that we came back in the game. Everything's been positive, mate. It's still not been that long, though, that he has actually been in the job. So as much of it saying it's been an incredible start, it has been, but it's still not been that long. I don't know how things work in modern day football when it comes to hiring a new manager. Say if Manchester United did or we're thinking about Pochettino in the summer, how early would we be wanting to actually speak to him? Would we be having to do that by the start of March, by now? Or is that something we can do at the time when we need to? You know what I mean? So if it's something that we absolutely need to do early, then I understand not, you know what I mean, not announcing anything to Ollie. Do you know anything about that, Howson?
I don't think there's a transfer window for managers, Gaz. But I think
you know what I'm saying,
from a club stability point of view, you've got players like David De Gea that need to sign contracts. You've got there's a lot of players that need contract signing. I think for the pure stability of the club, I can't see any reason that if you've decided you're going with Ollie to not announce it this afternoon for me, because there's no negatives to announcing it now. There's only negatives to not announcing it for me.
I'm just saying they might not have decided just yet.
I don't understand how you could even think about giving it to anybody else. The one other contender that's out there, Ollie beat him with a worse team.
Yeah, mate, I'm in complete agreement, and I reckon it'll probably be a couple of weeks from now that it does get announced, because I can't see something catastrophic happening now, which it would take. But I did say when Ollie was first announced as the interim coach, I remember at the time saying that's a brilliant thing that United are doing. It means we can plan for the future and bring in someone else in the summer. Then when Ollie started winning, I was thinking the only way that we can possibly consider a manager without the experience that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer obviously doesn't have is if he was to pull off a miracle and get us top 4. It's very possible right now. I think it's going to happen. So, yeah, I'd go for it.
I didn't think it was going to take a miracle. I thought top 4 is where United should probably end up, even with the poor start that we had to the season. James, has Ollie raised the level now? Is this the level that we expect from United? Is this about as far as we can go without bringing in fresh signings, do you think? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think so. Look, our defence isn't good enough, and I think it's been known that for a long time that we're not going to win a title with Smalling and Jones as our 2 centre-backs. Ashley Young's too old. Same applies to Valencia. And I think Mourinho was annoyed in the summer because we didn't get any defenders, and I think he's got an absolute point there, because he's just not good enough, is it? Smalling, Jones, Young, Darmian, Valencia. Could also make a claim for Rojo not being here in the summer. We're just even though he's sort of we've stopped conceding as many goals, they're just a liability, all of them. I think we did an investment in the summer. I think the Glazers and I think Woodward needs to realise that we're not going to win the league on a shoestring budget, and maybe that's why he brought Ollie in the first place. It was a great PR move from him, but was it because he's the cheapest manager we've got at the moment? And in the summer, is he going to accept a low wage of someone like Poch? I don't know. Poch's result last night didn't really do him many favours, did it, against Chelsea? And I wouldn't want Poch down this summer after the result against Chelsea, the result against Burnley. Still hasn't won anything at Spurs. So he's got, if you look at Poch, compare him with Mourinho's won more trophies, and the United side isn't as good as Spurs' side is. So, wouldn't have him.
Scott, what's your thoughts? Is it too early to announce a new manager now if it is going to be Ollie, or do you think that we owe it to Mulder for kindly allowing us to take Ollie on loan, that we allow them to prepare for next season by announcing what we're going to do as soon as possible?
That's a good point.
I would, first of all, on the Pochettino, let's not write this guy off. He spent no money and he plays wonderful football. He's still a great manager, and if Ole wasn't available, we'd have Pochettino. I honestly thought when we took on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I just thought we capitulated and we'd lost, interest in what we were going to do. it was a case of, I believe Pochettino was going to come in the summer. And unfortunately for Pochettino, Ole's come in and he's lifted the mood of everybody. And again, going off the stats are incredible. But it's around the stadium and around the fans, like whoever you speak to, we've all got a smile on our face. We've not had that for a while. So I think Ed Woodward probably said, yeah, short term, bring Ole on, steady the ship, maybe get a Europa League spot, But unfortunately for him, this has happened. And like I said, there's no way on earth he can fire Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Like I said, it's... You're talking shooting old yellow. You just can't do it, can it? So, I mean, for me, it's just a case of, should they announce it? What else can you actually do? You can't say no. You can't fire Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And the one thing I'd like to bring in is what McPhelan has brought. The
rest of it.
I think he's been.
Do you know what? He's not even put his shorts on yet. You all don't even know what's going to happen when he wears shorts.
And I do believe Sir Alex Ferguson's had a lot of input as well. So I think this is him, like I said, after Moyes saying, right, then let's do it properly, let's get it right. And I believe he'll get the job. When he'll get the job, I don't know. I mean, maybe we have to announce it with the New York Stock Exchange. I don't know how it works these days. But I think Pochettino, unfortunately, will lose out to Ole Solskjaer.
Another thing I wanted to talk to you about was this week Lukaku came back, scored 2 goals, and I actually don't think he looked that great while doing it. I thought there was still a lot of issues in his game, still a lot of question marks over his movement. Him and Sanchez, Solskjaer's questioned both of their abilities and asked them to both step up. Do you think we're about to see Lukaku hit a run now, Scott? Do you think this is him about to take off, or do you think that as soon as Martial and Rashford and Lingard are fit, he's going to go back to being second fiddle?
I believe that exactly. I just can't believe that he's going to start ahead of Rashford. I can't believe he's going to start ahead of Lingard or Martial. I just think, unfortunately, we have a superstar in the making up front in Marcus Rashford, and his touch is just going to always let him down, unfortunately. But I mean, the guy can score goals. He's still a top striker. I think he's just he's obviously coming this season very heavy. But again, the touch that he has is glaring. It's just. I mean, I'd be embarrassed if it was me, and I'm useless. So I think he'll just come back, end up on the subs bench. He has to be happy with that. It's whether he will be happy with that, and we'll see. And also, we have Mason Greenwood coming through. Is it worth cashing in on him? There's a lot of questions that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will need to answer in the summer, but I don't think he can turn around to Lukaku and say, yeah, you will start in my team every week, because he's not.
I think you weigh less than Lukaku as well, Scott, to be fair.
Well, if he weighs less than 300 pounds, then...
Well...
Gaz, do you think he's done enough in the game against Crystal Palace to justify starting?
That is him and Marcus Rashford are two completely different strikers for completely different styles of football. Romelu Lukaku is going to score you goals like that he scored against Crystal Palace. And in certain games, he's going to be a valuable player to throw into that Manchester United team, totally. And it would be great if we could keep Lukaku as that type of player to play in certain games where we need that target man. But we spent, 70 million on him? We're not going to have a player around that we spent 70 million on to utilise in the odd game. That's why I think he will be going in the summer, Romelu Lukaku, because I think this style that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is pushing for and playing, getting brilliant results with as well, it lends itself to flair players like Marcus Rashford, players like Anthony Martial, players like, hopefully, even though we've not seen it yet, Mason Greenwood potentially coming into the United team. I'd love to keep Lukaku and use him as an option because he's a great player, but he's not first team at United anymore, and there's no point keeping a player worth that much if he's not first team, really.
James, last season we saw Lukaku come into United amidst all the fanfare, score 27 goals, which is admirable and pretty difficult to do in your first season at United. There's not many that have scored more in their debut season. And then this season, the criticism that he's got, I think the criticism has been valid this season. And I think the criticism has been accurate for a change. Is there any way back into the first team for him? We've seen Solskjaer mention that he bulked up too much for the World Cup. I imagine that's not a quick fix. I imagine that's going to take weeks and weeks and weeks. Do you think that the board might try and cash in on him, or do you think that the likes of Solskjaer and that, working with him on the training ground, him, Mick Phelan, everybody else in the mix, can actually get that player that we wanted back? Because I think you could probably still play the Lukaku that played at Everton in this system, but not the guy that we've currently got in that shirt.
I think you probably could, yeah. But I mean, look, Solskjaer's given everyone a chance. He's given Fred a chance. He's given Pereira a chance. But knowing the Glazers and knowing Woodward, I think they must have seen his performances this season against the weekend against Liverpool at home. He really let us down, I thought, and I think we just got to cash in on him in the summer. I mean, 17 million quid. He just can't sit on the bench for that money. I don't care how much people are paying for footballers nowadays. It's just not that money justified for his performances. The criticism has been completely fair because he's let us down massively. His first touch sometimes has been awful. It sometimes looks just like someone's dad's playing. Like, he's just so unfit, just like moping around the pitch. He's just like put on far too much weight. He didn't really have much of a pre-season. He came back and he just looks like moody all the time. So I just think no, we've got to sell him this summer. I mean, if we keep Ollie, Rashford is a flair player like you said, and that style of play just suits Rashford a lot more. Lukaku is he's a typical Mourinho striker on the counter attack. Sort of get the ball out to the right side, cross it into him, and he needs good service. And at the moment, we don't have service for him. Valencia, Young, they're not good enough, so he's got to leave unless we bring in a decent right back across the ball.
That's what I mean. It's almost disrespectful, isn't it, to Romelu Lukaku for the amount of goals he scored in his career and the amount of goals he's no doubt going to go and do at the biggest stage. For us to keep him around as a second choice striker, because he's the type of player who could play at a different team in a different system, bang in loads of goals. I just don't think he's going to do it in this system or in any future style of football I want to see United play in.
I think he could. I think he plays on the last man very well, especially in a two-striker system. I think he could really work. I would be interested in seeing what he's like after a pre-season, but unfortunately now, because of when the transfer window ends, you're not really going to get to see the full effects of all that. This year's slightly different because there's no major European or World Cup competition that's going to affect him. But I think it would be very interesting to see. And if he does end up getting moved on, if he does go somewhere like Spain or Italy or even Germany, I think you're probably going to see him absolutely lever the goals in. And it might be a case of what might have been a little bit like Memphis. Did we throw it out too soon with him? This is a guy that's having a bad season. We've had players that have had bad seasons in the past. There's definitely a player in there. But because of the demand for instant gratification that everybody's got at the moment, and also because that there's a massive cash price on him, and he's also probably on a significant wage, I imagine, as well. Probably not nowhere near Sanchez, but I imagine that it's pretty significant. I think if you're looking at it from a pure logical financial point of view, and you've got the likes of Chong and Greenwood knocking on the door, and you could probably pick someone up from a Premier League team that's probably happy to sit on the bench and be that different style of forward that Lukaku is. From a pure economical point of view, cashing in on him and going with what we've got is probably not the worst idea ever. Right, we're going to cut to a quick break. Right then, James, I'm going to come to you first. You are rock bottom of the league with only 4 correct points.
He's only been on it once.
Yeah, come on.
It's an average, so you got 4.
Wasn't it a Carling Cup game or a League Cup game?
It was a FA Cup game against Reading.
Oh, come on.
So,
You got 4. It's bad. Right, I'll let you go first. Let's see if you can actually redeem yourself. Give us your formation and your starting 11 for this weekend's game against Southampton.
I think we're going to play a 4-2-3-1. I'm going to go De Gea in goal. I'm going to go Young, Smalling, Lindelof and Shaw's the back 4. I'm going to go Pereira and McTominay as the 2 midfielders. And then as a number 10, I'm going to play Pogba. 2 wings either side of him are going to be Rashford and Dalot and Lukaku up front.
Interesting.
Is that the same team that
I'm not sure I like seeing but I'm not sure I like seeing Pereira on the 6 line. I don't really like him there. I think you get more out of him a bit further forward. Interesting. We'll see how far you are with that one. Scott, do you want to give us your starting 11 and formation?
Yeah, well, De Gea. Straight away, back 4. I'm going to go with Dalot because Ashley Young just needs to go. just has to go.
My name is Stephen Howson, and I support this message.
All injury crisis is that we had. He was the one who managed to escape. Smalling, Lindelof, who, I'll have to go back to it. I've seen Lindelof for 5 years now. This guy's going to be our centre-back for the next 10 years. He's an awesome defender. Luke Shaw, left back. I think we'll go with the McTominay. legend in the making. I think he's an outstanding midfielder. Oh, behave yourself. He's wonderful. Look at him.
Shades of Keane.
The only reason you don't like him is because he's got a little face and a big head. And then I think he'll risk Herrera and play Pogba as well. And I think the front three will be Martial, Lukaku, and is Lingard back? I think he'll play Pereira. Sorry, I'll go with Pereira.
Pereira on the right.
Yeah, I think.
I like the idea of that. I do like the idea of that. And no one's really explored that idea. Tony Marshall back on the left, feeling that. It does seem like Rashford's closer to fitness. I can't believe Solskjaer came out and said that he didn't make it any worse by playing on for the rest of the game. I find that so hard to believe, but he's the gaffer. I guess I'll have to believe what he's saying. Gaz, do you want to give us your team?
I'm struggling with injuries here, so just shout out if I've said someone who's crocked. De Gea in goal, Delot, Bailly, Lindelof and Luke Shaw along the back four. Is Bailly right for this game, yeah? I don't want Chris Smalling in there.
He came off the bench against
I don't want someone... I don't want someone with the diet of a Stegosaurus in my team. In midfield, Pereira, McTominay, Holding, and then play behind the striker, 4-2-3-1 this, by the way. Sanchez, Pogba, Rashford, behind Lukaku. We never play Sanchez on the right. It never happens. It's not going to happen.
Rashford on the right.
I want it to happen. It's probably more likely we'll see Rashford, but I'd like to see Sanchez there.
Interesting. None of you have gone with Jimmy Garner making his debut this week against Crystal Palace. For me, should have been last year's Young Player of the Year. Went to a public vote, and Taheeb Chong got it, literally just because everyone knows his name more. Jimmy's a fantastic player up. That's the first of many. Solskjaer has alluded to some being involved a little bit more this week. Been very nice to see Mason involved in the home game. He travelled on Wednesday night against Palace. If we see Mason, I'm almost sure he's going to score. The guy is absolutely electric. But we will find out on Saturday afternoon. James, do you want to tell me about Southampton? Who do we be looking out for? How's Howson getting on, etc., etc.?
Yeah, I think they've only won 1 in 33 games against the top four, which is awful record. But having said that, at Old Trafford, we've only won 1 in 5 at home against them since Fergie retired. So they've been a bit of a bogey team recently. I remember, was it Tadic that scored at Old Trafford a couple of seasons ago when they beat us when Van Gaal there, I think it was. They played awful. They won last night against Fulham, so they're now out the relegation zone. They're on an okay bit of form, but I think United's certainly got enough to see off Southampton. But we do have PSG on Tuesday, so maybe Solskjaer's going to rest some players for that. But we've got a lot of injuries, so I'm not sure. Really, might play these instead. But they're not much of a threat.
Gaz, who should we look out for? How do we exploit their weaknesses?
From what I've read online, it seems like they've tried to play, or Hasenhüttl's tried to play an attacking football. Mate, I don't watch Southampton week in, week out, and I can't judge them by highlights on Match of the Day, can I? Really? Come on. You can't judge a team by highlights on Match of the Day. You've got to read what the actual fans have to say about the football, and it seems like they've tried to play a positive style of football, and it's just not worked. But the last game against Fulham, they actually got a win by playing a little bit more pragmatic, and I think they'll probably try and do that against United. But obviously, you hope that we are a little bit better than Fulham, and we'll be able to deal with that quite quickly if we get an early goal and be very confident, mate.
Scott, who do we need to be looking out for?
Well, I have a mate who's a Southampton fan, and I gave him a call before this, and these were his words: "We're weak, you will beat us 6-0." Basically. I'm not remotely worried about Southampton. They're all over the place, and that stat about they've won once in 33 against the top four. Well, that's actually better than David Moyes. You didn't know that.
Is it?
No, I mean, for me, no. We're just going to beat these guys. I will go even one further. Like I say, I think it could be 7-0 as a brace to the number 7 as a.
Wowzers. Right, so Southampton, I'm doing a tactical preview on my own channel if you want to come and find out actually how Southampton play. Hasenhüttl's got them playing a 3-5-2 mostly. They like to give possession away. Like Leicester had 60-odd% possession against them. They really like to play a little bit on the counter and a little bit of letting the other team do the work. There's a lot of goals in their games. There's not a lot of clean sheets either way. If they win or they lose, there's always both teams score. So I think this is going to be relatively high-scoring game. And I'm going to come to these guys for their score predictions. Like I said, if you want to check out more at the Southampton preview, come check my channel out for that. But James, you want to give your score prediction, and who's your first goal scorer?
I'm going to go 4-1 United, and I'm going to go Rashford first goal scorer.
Did you even pick Rashford? You did pick Rashford, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay. Gaz, who are you going for first goal scorer and score?
Do I get an extra point for the first goal scorer?
Absolutely not.
I'm not going to do it then. 4-1, and so did Lukaku will score again.
Alrighty. Scott, do you want to give us your score prediction?
7-0, and McTerminator will score first.
Jesus.
The beast.
I am going to go with Pogba, first goal scorer. I like the fact that he's taking penalties and free kicks, and he's actually getting into the box a right load under Solskjaer, so I think that's got to be worth having a look at. And I'm going to go 3-1. I'm going to go similar score, same score as Palace in midweek. What score do you lot think? Let me know in the comments below. Go check out all of these guys on social media. Gaz is on the radio getting bullied off builders, and everyone else is going doing their thing on Twitter. Go check them out. Thank you guys for joining us. Make sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Laters.